And now, coming to you straight from the 505's most news-biting source of politic-commentainment, it's the New Mexico Inquisition with Danger Cavaros.
Welcome back to the New Mexico Inquisition. I'm your host, Danger Cavaros. Thanks for coming on the show tonight, everybody. It's going to be a great show. We got Dr. Pete DeBenedettis in the house. We also have a good friend of the show, a good friend of mine, comedian Nate Todd is going to be on the panel tonight. We're also joined for the first time on the show since last season with our New Mexico Inquisition political analyst from the north, David Cortez is in the house. That's right. So let's start talking about the news. What's everybody been reading about? John Hendry, right? My goodness, John Hendry, he's the business agent for the local film crew workers union. He's in trouble after a lawsuit was filed by two women who used to work for him for sexual harassment. And also they accuse him of using his power and authority to try to prevent them from getting jobs in the New Mexico film industry after they were terminated. That's not good. The lawsuit also names the union itself, accusing it of racketeering and of using its power and influence to cover for John for years. Yeah, it's crazy. You may have noticed that New Mexico's film industry might not be as big and bad as California's, but at least our powerful men are just as terrible. Just as bad. We got the edge on them there. The chairman of the Democratic Party of New Mexico, Richard Ellenberg, has resigned after coming under pressure for responding inadequately to charges of sexual harassment in one case against John Hendry, and in the other case, the recently retired county commissioner from Dona Ana County, John Vasquez. In both cases, Richard Ellenberg questioned the credibility of the women who spoke out. Not good. Not supposed to do that. That's right. In his defense, he spoke out in his defense. He said, well, you know, I forgot an important bit here. His more vocal critics also accuse him of attempting to rig the nomination process at the Democratic Convention last week. Yeah. Not good, not good. In his defense, he said, well, you know, the nomination process was dressed like it wanted to be rigged and isn't really a credible witness anyway. So... Speaking of the convention, Michelle Lujan Grisham swept up over 60% of the delegates' votes at the convention last week, so that's pretty good, with the help of the recently disgraced chairman of the Democratic Party, Richard Ellenberg, and also recently disgraced union boss, John Hendry, who actually coordinates the political action committee that helped got her to where she is today. That's right. That's crazy. What's next? Are the pharmaceutical companies that donate thousands of dollars to her campaign going to end up being perverts too? Did you guys see her campaign ad that came out a couple months ago? She was announcing her bid for governor. She's got rollerblades on, little knee pads, and a little helmet, and she rides off into the sunset. Pretty cool. No, it's a very cute ad. Very, very cool. In the ad, she claims to have improved training for police officers, and also she claims to have cleaned up the jet fuel spill at Kirtland Air Force Base. And, you know, good on you. Good job. That's what I say. Job well done, because the police are just, bam. And the jet fuel at Kirtland, it's all gone. So that's great. Oh, is that not true? Oh, none of that's true? Oh, I guess you can't believe what you hear on TV. None of it. None of it. Coming in second place at the convention was businessman Jeff Apodaca, who squeaked by with 21% of the delegates' votes. Man, like Come on, Ellenberg, what's he got to wear to get you to rig him some of that nomination? Is it? Oh, it's rollerblades, isn't it? Rollerblades. It's rollerblades. Jeff Apodaca may not have rollerblades, but he does have the endorsement of Dr. Peter DeBenedettis, who is on the show tonight. Dr. DeBenedettis wowed the crowd at the convention with an impassioned speech, while witnesses say former Chairman Ellenberg ran around frantically trying to cut his mic. Yeah, that's what they said.
It happened.
That's crazy. Oh, is it? It did, huh? Man, first he tries to silence sexual harassment survivors, and then he tries to silence the good doctor. Like, what do you have to say for yourself, man? Like, oh, that's right. He said, "I'm sorry," and then he quit his job. You know, the only thing missing from this story is that helicopter that Nixon flew away in after he resigned. Can we get a helicopter for Richard Ellenberg? No? Maybe some rollerblades? Can we do? Man. You know, this whole Democratic convention mess kind of reminds me of the Democratic primaries for president between Hillary Clinton and Bernie Sanders. Remember that situation? It's like, in this situation, Michelle Lujan Grisham is definitely Hillary Clinton, and then kind of DeBenedettis Apodaca are tag teaming this Bernie Sanders progressive wing situation over here. And that means that you're the uninformed voters who are going to end up getting Republican frontrunner Steve Pearce elected. Yeah! Gotta fix your life, man. What else is going on in politics? Brian Colon is running for state auditor. You guys hear about this? Brian Colon. He's got to beat Representative Bill McCamley in the primary first, but if he wins, he'll face off against the current state auditor, Republican Wayne Johnson, who's a appointee of Governor Martinez. That's right. So first he lost his bid for lieutenant governor, then he lost the race for mayor of Albuquerque, and now he's planning on losing the race for state auditor. Like, and he's got big budgets in his campaign. Like, who's funding Brian Colon to keep running for office? Who's doing it? I hope they go broke funding his final run for office as state dog catcher. That was cold. I love you, Brian Colon. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. Let's lighten it up a little bit. Did you guys hear about the teddy bear in Socorro? That sounds like a fun story, right? Yeah, a teddy bear was spotted on a park bench across the street from an elementary school in Socorro recently. Silly? Check. Willy-nilly? You bet. Stuff with fluff? Not so fast. Turns out it actually had a fake gun strapped to its arm, rightfully shocking parents and teachers at the school. But after police intervention, they actually ended up letting the teddy bear go because, yeah, it turns out he, come on, he had a right to bear arms. Right? And he also had a, understandable desire to protect himself on campus. We got a great show for you guys tonight. We'll be right back after these messages. Pow, 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 pow. Okay. That's enough. All right, welcome back to the Mexican Inquisition. I have an excellent all-male panel on the show tonight. Yeah, I don't know how this happened. We usually shake up the panel pail and whatever comes out happens. So, tonight on the show is our New Mexico Inquisition political analyst from the north, our good friend and a true brilliant political mind, David Cortez, to my right. And to my left is Dr. Peter DeBenedettis. You all know him. Thanks for coming on the show, by the way. Thank you. And also a comedian who warmed up the crowd tonight. Very funny man, very enthusiastic individual. Nate Todd, ladies and gentlemen, he's on the show. Thanks for coming on the show, man.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
On such short notice and everything like that.
Yeah.
Oh no, we talked about having you on the show for like weeks, huh?
Yeah, that was true. This is true.
Like it was like the second we knew Dr. Pete was on the show, we were like, well, so are you.
And I was excited to hear that.
Yeah. So how was your week?
It was pretty good. Daylight saving times has really made me pretty tired this week.
Oh.
Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah. Has it done that to you?
No, I'm fine. I'm good. I'm good to go. You see anything in the news that caught your attention?
Yeah, today I saw this story about a ski lift that went wild in the country of Georgia and sent skiers flying backwards and off of it looked pretty terrifying.
Huh.
Do you ski, Pete D?
Gosh, no.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Gosh, no. That sounds like a snowboarder to me.
Pete jumped off the ski lift before, you know.
But the ski lift ride did sound fun.
So how about yourself, David? Anything?
Actually, I was thinking about the same exact thing, and I was trying to make an analogy to the election coming up, and Peter D, to me, jumped off before the primary. And we'll talk about that,
Yeah.
But he's like, I'm in the snow, I'm out of this. I'm not going to be running for governor.
Can I make a snow angel?
You can do whatever you want.
But we're not going to be talking about it on this show.
Good. All right, thank you.
We're just going to talk about like daylight savings time.
Okay. And cancer.
For as long as we can, both segments nonstop. So I'm glad to have you on the show finally. I was glad whenever you reached out to our show last season.
Yeah. I've been begging
cool.
these guys for years, or
Yeah.
at least half a year or so.
Well, at first we couldn't tell the difference between you and like kind of like the super crazy people that were just like sending us lots of emails. But then you sent us a fully cut together field piece.
I did a field piece, and I want to bring the field piece back as well as interstitials for our other friends.
Yeah.
Here.
Those are just so hard,
Yeah, I know. Anyways, I'm only here to plug my own films, Drilling County documentaries and other stuff. I do other things than just sit here on television.
Which Drillingmore County?
Drillingmore County. We had a screening in December at the Guild, and we're going to have a screening at the CCA. And I'm also working on another film called Successful Outlaw. And you can just Google that, Facebook that.
So, do you do the voiceover in your documentary?
No, I don't voiceover.
Oh, come on.
Danger.
You got to
God
voice
damn
over
it.
your
I
stuff.
don't have the budget for that sort of thing. God.
Okay, that's fine. That's fine. But, okay.
Maybe
we'll
Peter could voice over. He's got a good voice.
Have you done any
And
voiceover
he's
work?
clean and sober.
No. I've written tons of scripts, but not.
All right. You are probably the most intelligent person we've ever had on our television show.
No,
I mean, by far. I mean, you're the first doctor we've had on the show since episode 1, where we had Dr. Robert Radigan from the Geospatial Survey. He was so boring. So boring. That's a puppet. That's not even a real person. Okay, but what did you go to school for? What were your hopes and dreams the whole time you were
Honestly,
getting education?
I went and got a PhD because I was working graveyard shifts in a 7-Eleven and I was tired of being robbed. And I thought, geez, if I got a degree, I could actually sleep at night.
That was it.
That was what motivated me to go to grad school.
Wow, that's amazing. And when you were finished, did you find that you had a lot of career opportunities affordable to you, or?
Well, I saw that movie Power. Richard Gere made it ages ago, and he was a political consultant. And I said, that looks cool. I'd like to do that. So I minored in advertising. I was doing communications because I loved it. I took statistics classes so I could be a poller, and then I started working on campaigns.
How fascinating. Now you work on campaigns as well, isn't that correct?
Yes, I usually get fired within a month or so before they find out that I have a criminal record, but that's another story. But yeah, indeed, that everyone in New Mexico should see Power. You can't find it. I think they actually.
What they should see is that movie Swing Vote with Kevin Costner, where
and
the
Wag
whole
the
election
Dog
is
and
one
everything
vote.
else. Yeah,
The whole
yeah.
presidential election. They
Or watch
filmed it in
CNN
Curry
2 days
County.
ago. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
I have not seen either of those movies.
Okay.
Have you
well,
seen
they're
either of them,
probably
Nate Todd?
banned.
No, I haven't seen any of these movies.
Did you know about David Cortez's criminal record?
Well, if we haven't seen these movies, do we know that they actually exist?
They do.
Think
they do.
about it. What if?
Anyway.
Whoa, we're gonna have to leave our viewers with that and take a quick commercial break to deal
you.
with the giant truth bomb you just dropped on us. Oh my God, we'll be right back after these messages. Oh my God.
it's all political.
Okay. It's just a political show, guys. Come on. Come on. We can't have that much enthusiasm for things like this. Welcome back to the Mexican Inquisition. I'm with our good friend, Dr. Peter DeBenedettis. That's how you say it?
Peter D's, way easier.
I was going to go with Dr. Pete.
Sounds good.
Is that cool? Well, thanks for coming on the show. I appreciate
Thanks
that.
for having me tonight.
Now, tell us a little bit about what's been going on lately with you.
So a year ago, I started running for governor, just out of the blue like that. I used to run political campaigns. I said, I can't sit on the sideline anymore. I mean, look at it. It's going to hell out there. And so I thought if I actively campaigned, we could pull the party to the left. We could start making progressive issues what people are talking about. And so that's what I've done every single day for the past year of my life.
Well, thank you for doing that.
You're welcome.
Now, you, as we mentioned in the monologue, you gave quite the speech at the, what would you call that?
The pre-primary convention.
The pre-primary convention. I thought there were like more pre's and like pre, double pre.
Grand Prix.
The pre-primary convention fiesta. And you gave a big speech. Tell us a little bit about that situation.
Well, it was, you know, when I was getting ready to give it, I knew it was either going to be the watershed moment of my life or the Titanic hitting an iceberg. And I honestly didn't know how it was going to turn out. I'd spent an hour on the phone with the ex-party chairman a couple of days before. He was threatening to not even let me speak. He was telling me what I had to do to be a candidate and what I could say and couldn't say.
You're talking about Dick Ellenberg.
I am. So, so I actually felt like I was a prisoner of war. So I just said what needed to be said, so they'd stop the torture. And in the middle of my speech, he actually got up to pull the microphone and stop me.
Is that true, Peter? I mean, because a lot of people say that that's a rumor.
No, that is completely true.
complete
Because I
truth,
saw him
right.
stand up, I saw him walk
They also
over, I
arrested
heard everybody
people
shout,
there, yeah.
no, 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 and I had a dozen people tell me what went on there.
Well, because the goal is to get you and Jeff and the other candidate off the ballot and just roll the red carpet out for Michelle Lujan Grisham.
Well, that's kind of what it was. It was like a plan to try to keep everybody from running except for the anointed party heir.
Yeah.
And that's kind of creepy to me because, you know, the Congresswoman is quite strong. There was no need to
She's
put...
only 4'11".
Well,
she's not that strong
there
compared
was
to
no
a
need
guy
to
like
put
you're
their-
like 6'3".
to put their finger on the scale to try to tip things. I mean, that's kind of an ominous sign. If that's how the campaign is, buckle up and let's see how government might be.
People are complaining a lot about all over the country how the Republican Party are behaving more or less and less democratically. And it seems like from some of these primaries we've had the last few years that the same thing is almost maybe happening with the Democratic Party.
Well, nationally, it's scary. My Congressman Benway Lujan is sending out memos to candidates. Don't talk about gun control. Don't talk about single-payer health care. And they're actually putting on their website, you know, negative files about some of the candidates at the national level. They're favoring candidates and then actively going against progressive candidates. It's quite disturbing.
Why do you think that is?
Oh, why do I think that is? I just don't know why that would be.
Yeah.
Could it be power?
Yeah.
I had to wait for them to switch cameras. So now that you gave your speech, now that you didn't make the 20%, what's next for you?
So first let me tell you that I knew I wasn't going to hit 20% because of how the deck was tilted. I knew that. And I knew it would be a sin to make sure that one progressive didn't get through. So I asked all my delegates to support Jeff Apodaca, and they did. And so I've endorsed him. And the reason why is he's been serious about adopting progressive platform. When I talked to Joe Cervantes, we talked single-payer health care. He said, oh, that's socialized medicine. I'm like, that's the point. Everybody gets it. Right? And then when I talked to Congresswoman Lujan Grisham, I said, how do we reach out to progressives? And she's like, we don't need to because they won't vote for Steve Pierce. And I'm like, oh my God, am I chopped liver? Do we not have any of our issues because we're afraid of him? And when I talked to Apodaca, he said, yes, I'll do the New Mexico Health Security Campaign. I'll do a state bank. I'll do 100% renewable energy. We already agreed on $15 an hour living wages and legalizing cannabis. So I'm like, yes, if you want to be progressive, Jeff's the man.
Now, Pete D, I saw you, the first time I saw you was at the Dem debate in Taos. And that's
Right.
when you really caught my attention. But at the time, correct me if I'm wrong, didn't you mention that we shouldn't go straight to $15 an hour and that we should like?
No, that was
Right.
Apodaca
Go up
who
slowly?
mentioned
Okay.
tiering
Just
it because
plan
you
is
can't have
go up in 5 years in increments, and you need to do that because if you go all at once, you're gonna hurt the small businesses.
right, and you can't also have you have to have a tiered thing for based on like you can't have a $15 minimum wage in a place like Dulce or other places. You have to tier it in some sense.
I disagree, but
Well,
there you go.
But you know, that's the thought.
At that same debate, something that really caught my attention is how you were calling out some of the other candidates there for taking big money. And you called out Michelle Lujan Grisham, and I looked it up. And from Big Pharma, from what I could tell, the website you were mentioning, she took maybe like 1,000 or 3. It seemed like a pretty small amount.
So if you look at under PACs on that
she did
website, it was $66,700 during her career.
yeah.
The
Okay.
1,000
All
was
right,
just
all right.
in this term or the last term. But in her career, it was $66,700 from Big Pharma. She voted for Senate Bill 524, which kneecapped the FDA's ability to go after pill mills. And while she was the Secretary of Health and Services, deaths from prescription opioids increased by 40%. So it was like a disturbing pattern that I needed to call out.
Yeah, that's true. All right. Good answer, good answer. So are you, David just told me that you're still running. Is this true or no?
You're
No.
still on the ballot.
He's on the
Okay.
ballot,
Okay,
so
I'm
he's
on the
not
ballot
running.
until
You're still on the
So
ballot.
don't
I'm on
be
the ballot
fooled.
until I send a notarized letter to the Secretary of State that says take me off.
And she probably won't.
Well, I
Because
notarized
they
it
want
today.
you,
We will see.
they want people to vote for you because they can't vote for others, and thus that's
Maggie
one
Toulouse
tactic.
Oliver is one of the most outstanding women
I know,
I've ever
but
met.
She's gonna be
she's-
on the
I don't
show,
have-
I
She's
think.
gonna do
I
the
don't
right
have a lot of
thing.
2 weeks,
confidence
she's
in
gonna be
her
on the
to
show.
She's
remove
gonna
you
do
from
the right
ballot
thing.
Come June 6th. 5th.
Okay. But what do you know? It's not like you're a doctor or anything. I think I'm going to go with what the doctor says.
Since you're not running anymore, how are you going to keep your voice active and, you know?
So 2 of the candidates offered me jobs. One of them was kind of
All right.
subtle, like, you know, we need you on the team. The other one was be my communications director. And I'm like, really? And they're like, does it mean I get to talk to the press? And they go, yes.
All right.
And then I'm like, and then I was told we'd rather you err on the side of being aggressive than having to rein you in. So I'm like, wow, I mean, I can earn money to actually carry the progressive message instead of just doing it and getting deeper in debt like I've done for the past year. So I'm looking
I
at
think
that
there's a subtle
seriously.
understanding that candidates like Michelle Lujan Grisham, who have millions and millions of dollars from industry after industry, a guy like Peter, do you think he's going to work for Michelle Lujan Grisham?
I don't know, are you?
No. Anyways, nonetheless, the point being is like, you know, it's a 2-person race. And Peter, God bless him, he's done everything he can to bring that platform forward. So,
Thank
Pete,
you. You
thank
honored me.
And I hope you do pursue that end, and then you could, you know, hook me up with a sweet job.
Yeah.
Campaign.
Get in line.
Some placed positions. Come on.
Yeah.
I'm sure
Well,
I'm sure all
mind
the
you-
campaigns are hiring comedians now, right?
who is the communications director for Michelle Lujan Grisham?
Power?
I don't know. Exactly. Like, you know.
We can ask her when she comes on the
Maybe
show in a
this
couple
guy
weeks.
might be it. Yeah, exactly.
We'll ask her when she's here.
Yeah.
I want to thank you again for coming on the show.
I appreciate you giving me this time.
Is there anything you'd like to say to the 12 people that watch the Mexican?
So yes. If you're watching, that means you're probably on your sofa. Get off. I tried to demonstrate what it takes to move the political needle. Now imagine if there were 100 or 50 of us running for legislature or different offices. We can take our country back. So that's what I want to say, is if you saw something you liked, replicate.
All right, thanks again. I appreciate it. Catch us next week. I believe we have Jeff Apodaca on the show next week,
Oh, wow.
which is going to be very
Nice.
cool. So we're looking
All
forward
right.
to that. Stay tuned for more. Thanks for checking in with us. Good night. Thank you.